Robert. There's the camera
Hi, sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
That was, no, that was. Okay.
No, but I thought I would before you did.
That allows you to keep that close.
Don't say that loud.
No worries.
Check exactly 240. Next page here.
You can't make faces. I did, yes. Thank you.
So you remove that one. I don't want to have it available.
This is already in your package, it's a smaller printed It's all signed and sent back to them. No, she sent me a new page. I just had to update sign there. Yeah. I know, it did before, yes. Get a copy of that one.
Hello, Mario.
Brett.
How are you?
Good. Thank you.
How you doing? Very tired.
Okay, say something.
Some still very
Here's the numbers. He's saying he's not gonna give it to him.
Anyway, whatever.
So that's what I meant. Because we can't.
No, it's last year, so I have to. I was on the other day talking to Zach. Called to the end, I'm like, you haven't called me back about this. She's like, wow, their ideas were, and blah, 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 you're registered.
No, it's not available.
Because when they were calling your friends, like, Andy's emails were good to go. And she has heard of me tomorrow. Yeah. I feel like always something. Always, I know. It's just, like, I didn't even, or I don't even remember to do it
Just be in order to place the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a second. Thank you. Roll call.
Persing,
Here.
Shipman,
Here.
Reichner, Henry, Eister.
Any audience comment on any of the agenda items? CDBG? No representation here. Yeah, move to new business. Keystone Community Program Agreement. I believe everybody has a copy in your folder. Well, if you remember in the beginning of the year, we agreed that council passed a resolution, I believe it was at the time. We were going to fund the Keystone Community Grant Administrator, and the deadline was the end of October, so beginning next month, Cheryl Delsite, who works down with Terry in the city clerk's office, will be working 3 days a week down the SRI, I'm calling it the SRI building for lack of another word. And we're going to get that up and rolling. The Keystone Communities, of course, everybody's aware that's the old Elm Street projects that we had and everything else. All the funding and future funding for projects will be coming through the Keystone Community. So we need to have somebody down there, and Cheryl is our knowledgeable person, and so she will be that grant administrator. And at this time, it's like I say, it's funded through the city of Sunbury. It's going to be a hit or miss thing as getting it established. Right now, she's pretty much working with, like I said, to get the office with Megan, get everything set, and get rolling. The Chester Street project, there'll be some things coming up about the Chester Street project. We're involved in that. For lack of another word, the 12th Street project or 11th Street project, whatever the next phase is up on Market Street that we need to get accomplished. So this is our commitment to this program to keep things moving, and I just want everybody to know that starting next week, we're going to start, next month, we're going to start getting that set up down there. Yep. Cheryl, do you want to give us a few words of wisdom?
In your packets, I put a sheet that shows the 5 programs named under Keystone. They're Safe, Clean, Green, Asset Enhancement, Community Marketing, Design, and Organization. And under each of those is what the goals are for each portion. And I just ask that you look over them, and if you have any questions or additions that you want to add to them, there's still time before we submit the application on Friday. If you need any explanation of any of them, let me know. They're pretty straightforward. Under asset enhancement, it's to increase downtown occupancy and foot traffic, and how, as far as I plan on doing that, is with a business recruitment package. And then to review and update property inventory in designated areas. So if somebody calls and says, hey, I need a building 15,000 square feet or whatever, we'll be able to point that out to them and direct them to whoever that owner is. And And under community marketing, they just have to going to continue hosting community events to help improve the city's image. And then design, working with traffic calming and safe passage for bicyclists and pedestrians. And then, of course, the two projects that we have going right now, Chestnut Street and Market Street. So it's pretty much straightforward. And then on the back is the designation area. What we did is we included the traditional downtown. It's actually extended out into the business district, including the Albright Center, so that if there are any funds out there, we can hopefully capture them to help move that project along. When I attended the regional managers meeting last week, one of the things that DCD asked for was what kind of money would we be going after, whether it's facade program, physical improvements, or a redevelopment grant to loan process where we would be able to loan money to businesses that want to make improvements to their building, infrastructure, startup costs, square foot. So those are the two main areas that I put them as 1 and 2. The physical improvements can be loaned out to property owners, not just low to moderate income, but the middle class. So it would help more with those that don't meet the low income, earn a little bit more money, but to make it accessible to them. Have any questions?
Now, if you remember when we had this conversation at the beginning of the year, there's no guarantee about anything, but the guarantee is if you don't have this position filled, if we don't fund this position, if we don't go this direction, the only guarantee is we will not get any grants. So this is, you can go back to the old days when we had our own block grant people, we can go back to whatever you want to go back to. The bottom line is this is the future for us, this is our hope. And the goal ultimately will be, once everything gets designated and everything's in place, like I say, Cheryl will be down there 3 days a week. That doesn't mean when Terry's on vacation, the office is closed or something, she won't be up here for a whole week. So it'll be back and forth, but the thing is, it'll be separated, and clearly, this is the city's effort to go after the grants that we can go after, and we need this director, and Cheryl's our person to do that.
One thing that DCED emphasized at the regional meeting last week was there is no more money for this year. Depending on what happens with the election will determine how much money will be available in the future. DCED promised out everything that they had, and then they have to fund their people plus the Pennsylvania Downtown Center. So this will be moving forward.
But we have been promised for the next block of Market Street, right?
Yes, we already have that money.
So that money's secured.
That's money secured, and there's 500,000 secured for Chestnut Street.
Okay, thank
That was the end of
you. Last year.
that money.
You got a question?
I have a question. If Cheryl's gonna be going down there 3 days a week or whatever, are you gonna have to hire somebody then in the mayor's office to help fill in when she's?
No, our goal is to be able to shift enough stuff around that's not our goal. That's why we tried to make it without an increase in tax costs.
Because I know a couple times I've been in, both of them have been very busy. So.
Well, they are, and it's like I'm saying, so that's what I mean, there might be a week or two that they're both up in the office, you know what I mean? So until we get it played out how it's gonna work, we just needed to address this in a timely manner, and we've done that now.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Cheryl, or you'll have reports on a monthly meeting, what's happening. Now, in your pack, everybody, I believe, has a copy of the Keystone Communities Program Cooperative Agreement. We've met with SRI and went over that, and we need to adopt this tonight. Now, this doesn't mean everything that's in here is in concrete and things won't change around as we realize, as all the responsibilities get shifted back and forth. But for right now, Terry and myself and Megan got together, went over this, and I think we got it pretty well down to the point where whose responsibility is what. And I'm sure there's going to be things popping up we'll address when it comes to that. But I'd like to make a motion that we accept this Keystone Community Program Cooperative Agreement at this time. And like I say, it'll be an ongoing process. I need a second?
Second.
Henry,
Yes.
Eister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner.
Yep.
Megan, did you want to say anything on this? Okay? While I'm talking to you, do you have anything, do you want to throw something in for SRI, anything special for tonight's meeting?
Other than, the Veterans Band will be coming down this next month coming up, we may have a ceremony, or we may do something a little bit more lower key this year.
Okay.
And then, Late Night Shoppers will be December 4th.
Okay. Brianna, would you like to talk a little bit about resolution for blight property?
Sure. We have been continuing to work through our blighted properties, acquiring some in eminent domain, and then we go through the process of doing public auctions. And I have two resolutions tonight that deal with properties that we are working to sell and acquire to conquer our blight. The first one is one we are purchasing. It's a property at 314 South 3rd Street. We are going to be acquiring the property through a private sale, and then the goal is to demolish the property, remove the dilapidated condition that it's in at this point. The resolution I have for tonight is to ratify and affirm that we are purchasing this property in lieu of pursuing condemnation proceedings, which means that instead of going through our normal route with the court system through eminent domain, we are going to be working directly with the property owner to just have the property transferred to the city of Sunbury. This will expedite the whole process. If we pass this resolution this evening, then we can also claim it as tax exempt because it is in lieu of condemnation. So we can save a few dollars by going through this process. And just to read the specific paragraphs, the City of Sunbury would hereby ratify and affirm the purchase by the City of Sunbury Redevelopment Authority of the blighted property located at 314 South 3rd Street. The City of Sunbury would also ratify and affirm that the purchase of the blighted property is in lieu of condemnation proceedings, and notice of this resolution will be kept on file at the City Clerk's office. So that's the resolution first that I need.
I need a motion to accept.
I'll make the motion.
Need a second?
Can I ask how
Yep.
much we're paying for it?
Right now, they are giving us $1 and we are covering the costs associated with it. I don't recall off the top of my head, but we were able to get the municipal liens waived. Hopefully this will help get us the tax exempt status. So I would say realistically ballpark $1,000, $1,500, certainly well below the cost of going through eminent domain. That's why the redevelopment authority made the business decision to go this direction with the property. I can certainly get you that
No, that's
specific
good,
number.
that's close. The other way is 3,500 to 5,000, so this is
Easily.
I
definitely.
just want to know what I'm voting.
Yep.
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah, I apologize, I don't have that direct number.
We have a first and second?
Ister,
Yes.
Persing,
Yes.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry.
Yes.
Okay, I do. I have a second one. Along the same lines, as part of the process, we had public auctions of two properties, 434 Reagan Street and 608 South Front Street. And the resolution that I have to present to the City Council is to ratify and affirm those public auctions that they were held. They were both held on October 21st. And also the City of Sunbury and City of Sunbury Redevelopment Authority purchased the property at 245 Chestnut Street. Similar to the 314 South 3rd Street, we were able to get the municipal liens waived, and I believe the cost on that was $2,108. I forget what changed. That was the final cost for that property. And again, same circumstances, that it would expedite the process, and we had a cooperative property owner to go that route rather than eminent domain. The resolution I have is that the City of Sunbury hereby ratifies and affirms the public auctions held for those two properties, 434 Reagan Street, 608 South Front Street. That it also ratifies and affirms the purchase of the property at 245 Chestnut Street, and that all proceeds from the sale of the properties that were sold at public auction would be placed in the City of Sunbury Redevelopment Authority bank account for use on future blighted property projects. Again, this resolution would be kept with the city clerk at her office.
Questions? You have a motion to accept?
Need a motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Persing,
Yes.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Ister.
Yes.
Approval, excuse me, approval to pay invoices, John?
We have general fund invoices in the amount of $46,121.74, and liquid fuels of $995.80. Make a motion that we pay our bills.
Shipman,
Yes.
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Ister, Persing.
Yes. Dale, Raspberry Avenue from 10th to All Street?
Yes, I was approached by Michelle McKim, that right there along by the Daily Item, that field, the young boy that had passed away over in Point Township the other week. They're doing a flag football fundraiser to help offset some cost, and she wanted to know originally if we could close off Raspberry Avenue. And it ended up being, you want to know, they can close off Raspberry Avenue, borrow the bleachers, some garbage cans, and, what else, Terry? Was there one other thing?
Job Johnny's.
Yeah, Job Johnny's. So I said, I'll bring it to meeting, and, we would
They're gonna play on the street there?
No, in that grassy lot, right between All Street and Dale Item, that grass lot there.
Oh, okay.
And I guess they used to play football there every Sunday. They had a flag, the kids play flag football. So they're doing it in Corbin's honor. Like I said, it's also gonna, I'm following it on Facebook page. Oh my God, the donations they've gotten, it's just unbelievable.
They're having a raffle, basket raffle or something.
Yeah, it's just everything.
Yeah, the Job Johnny's, how many people need?
I don't know, as we get this, I really didn't know how many. I figured as we get closer, if it really got bad, we could wing it.
What's the date on that?
November 8th, and the game starts at 1 p.m.
You playing?
No,
How about your son?
he actually had a flag football game at 3.
I have a question. Did anybody get the approval from the Daily Item to use their property?
Yes, they did. Yeah, they have to leave it in pristine condition like they're getting it.
Okay.
So I'd like to make that in form of a motion.
You get them everything? Bleachers and?
They'll handle the bleachers like Job Johnny's and the trash can.
Well, I figured, when like next week, we'll get a consorted effort and we'll get everything down.
Do we have a second?
Reichner,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Ister, Persing,
Yes.
Shipman.
Yes.
Well, before we get into the sidewalk, while we're reading about closing, I just wanted to bring everybody's attention on Thursday, November 6th, between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. We got training for flood control. That's a lot of closures. I guess I'm more concerned about the one closing of East Market Street, Zimmerman Motors for 2 hours. So you might want to find a good television set or what your best show at that time on Thursday nights and stay home, because the behind the VFW on Shikellamy Avenue will be closed. East Market Street near Zimmerman Motors will be closed. 10th Street on the Spring Run Pumping Station. So there'll be PennDOT and the Fire Police, of course, will be out rerouting traffic. And it should note, in the event of an emergency, Highland Avenue will be open to all emergency vehicles. So it's not like we can't get in or out of the city. But I just wanted to put that in your mind. November 6th, Thursday, November 6th, 6 to 8 o'clock. There'll be some traffic issues in the city. Sidewalk program, I just wanted to mention that we seem to have, I was down at the municipal authority last week at their meeting for some specifics, and there seems to be a lot of sidewalks out there. If you remember, I don't know, it's been, 2 years, I guess, since the water municipal authority made everybody get the water meters. Maybe it's longer than that now. But you still have sidewalks that were never repaired after that was done. So I've been talking to Rick, and we're going to come up with a system to go through, even if it's throughout the winter time, to notify everybody and look at a June, July deadline type thing, and just tell everybody they need to get those sidewalks repaired. And most of them are replaced. You have a lot of good sidewalks, and you just have a whole sidewalk that's pretty much missing, because that's where the water is out in the shutoff is stuck in the middle of. So we're going to address that as part of the blight remover, as we're fixing up the neighborhoods. That's going to be part of it. So you'll hear more about that in the very near future also.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, when you say whose responsibility will that be?
That's the property owner's responsibility.
And now this is where I've been questioning or asking you to utilize the grants, especially in a school zone, where you get the grant to use for sidewalks, and now in my community, most of the homeowners are seniors, and that's going to be quite a hefty amount of money and a burden to put on people who are living on fixed income. And I know that Jamie said that the grant you guys had gotten, you're going to put that money toward the Chestnut Street. So I don't know, I didn't hear a commitment from anyone saying that the new grant, when you apply for it, when it's open, and we don't know when that will be used for that purpose.
Right now, we don't have a new grant, there is no grant for that.
The grant was applied to the Chestnut Street project that you guys are working on.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So right now, there is no citywide sidewalk grant available. If one would come about, I have no problem, we can talk about it when it comes about. Right now, there's no guarantee that there is any grant out there. And I don't know how they define a school zone. Is that so close to, within 100 feet of the school, or what? I'm talking citywide now, so I'm talking places with no
It's the
schools.
foot traffic where the children are going to school. In my
Okay.
area there's a lot of, children, and they're walking to school, they're riding bikes, or they're driving. But I'm preferably talking about walking, because you have the disabled people who walk that route, as well as people in wheelchairs, or maybe blind in canes, elderly people who are walking with canes and in wheelchairs. And our sidewalks have been, they look like a river of waves.
Right.
And
But
so
they're not
now
on
you're
their
gonna
school.
say that burden belongs to the homeowner, and they're not gonna get any assistance from the city.
There is no grant citywide. So no matter whatever your school definition is, if we or don't get a grant, do or don't get a grant, that's still not gonna take care of the places. I mean, they're up
It
there.
doesn't take care of everything, and you're right.
Right.
But I'm
So
speaking
we're not
for
talking about how we're
like
paying
Ward 4 or anyone in a school zone, that they should have some sort of help from the city.
And I'm sure this council will look for some help. But your initial question was, how is it going to be? And right now, it's the deal, it's the customer's, property owner's responsibility. If we can get them help in some sort of a grant, then we will do that. But I don't want to tell them that now, because there is no grant out there right now.
I understand.
Okay?
Thank you.
Question on that, Dave, is that everybody with curbs and sidewalks, just not where the municipal authority did their new cuts?
Well, it'd be pretty much everybody. What stands out to me is the ones that have been sitting there for 3 years or 2 years.
Eighth and Race, does that
A
include?
lot of them on 8th Street, yes.
Does that include curbing, or are you gonna go after curbing?
I'm just talking about sidewalks right now. We can look at, we'll look at that. I'm sure when we document it, we'll document where the curbing has to be at the same time. And maybe curbing, I know we have, we can use your money to do
I already
curbing.
checked with PennDOT, whatever the curb cut is for the handicap,
Right.
that's the only part of the curb that
That
they
you do.
shouldn't pay for, it won't pay for anything past that. So it's 4 feet wide, that's all we get.
I'm just talking about sidewalks right now. Any other questions? Jim, Sunoco lease?
Yes, we've been working with Sunoco here for 6, 9 months. The sketches are up here, the blueprints. These are preliminary, but it's a good indication what we're talking about. Brianna, do you have somewhere the agreement that we're discussing?
Actually, I have a guest visitor this evening who
Oh,
has
Michael's
been
back
working
here.
directly involved.
No, I'm
So
sorry.
He wanted to
Apologize.
present this one since he's been working more directly with it.
You have the floor, sir.
All right, here you go. Here, I'll stand up.
There you go.
Here we Councilman Ister and Councilman Riker have been working diligently with Sunoco, and what we just did at the end of last week was we sent them basically the city's version of the proposed final. This would be an amendment. There's an existing lease between the city and Sunoco that dates back to 1995. What this would be an amendment and ratification of that lease that would provide for, and as Councilman Ister said, we have the drawings up here. Basically, Sunoco wants to remodel and expand a little bit. So this would give them an additional L-shaped portion to expand the amount of space that they would have. And it would amount to approximately 11,093 square feet. with rent beginning for the first year at $10,206 just for that additional parcel, with a 3% increase per year, so rent would climb. Now, that does not affect the original lease for the original parcel that was released. That's on its own rent schedule. Currently, that's $5,500 for this year. It goes up $500 every 5 years. So we certainly have a better rate of increase over the time. And the only thing outstanding that we had asked Sunoco to put in the lease was a paragraph regarding indemnification for the city. Certainly the city as landlord does not want to be responsible for anything that might happen at Sunoco as landlord. Particularly, I think the scary thing would be any environmental issues if God forbid there be a spill or something like that. So we've added a indemnification paragraph. And then also, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Burger King drive-through entrance that comes in off of 4th Street. You know, you can pull in there, the drive-through driveway, and cut across to Sunoco. Luckily, Burger King and Sunoco have been good neighbors for years, but we've asked that Burger King and Sunoco get on the same page with each other to have a written agreement, a cross easement agreement, just so that they realize that the general public may be crossing back and forth across those parcels. So pending those two changes being accepted by Sunoco, I've prepared a resolution that would, for council to approve, accept, and ratify the amendment subject to Sunoco's acceptance of those additional paragraphs, that language I just mentioned. Secondly, once Sunoco executes the cross easement agreement required under the amendment and provides the city with a copy, then the First Amendment ratification will be deemed to be approved through the resolution. And then finally, once those conditions are met, that Mayor Persing be authorized to execute the lease document and anything else ancillary to that transaction. Any questions?
I have a question before we vote on this. I didn't realize this, I asked Friday if they had anything like this, Jim. You said we wouldn't be voting on that tonight? I'm not prepared to vote. Now I'm looking at this lease agreement.
We're not voting on the agreement, we're voting on the authority to send this back to Sunoco so they adopt our changes or not adopt our changes.
So then we'll vote on it.
And when that comes back, or unless I'm wrong, when that comes back, we vote on it or not?
We were,
Go ahead, Nick.
we were going to actually move on this.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you guys have had a time to look and read this. This is the first I've seen it. So I just would like to be able to look at it and read it too.
This says First Amendment, so this is not the entire lease, this is an amendment to an existing lease?
This is the amendment to the existing lease from 1995.
The original amendment, John, doesn't change, which was signed in '95. Let me find, just was reading it, page